Magandang hapon po mga kababayan. Welcome to another week on the only daily talk show para po sa inyong mga kapwang Pilipino na naninirahan dito sa Amerika. Kamakailan po lumabas ang balita na merong mga Filipino workers who have accused a local bakery, also owned and run by a Filipino couple, of abuse. Kasama natin ang ating reliable attorney who deals with such cases like this at pag-uusapan po natin ang nangyari. Attorney Joe Sayas is here.
This segment is brought to you by the law offices of Joe Sayas Jr., lawyers helping employees and consumers.
Kasama natin si Attorney Joe Sayas. Attorney Joe, let's talk about this bakery case because it was in the Los Angeles Times quite recently. At Filipino po ang nag-file ng kasong ito. So let's talk about this because it's very relevant in our community para po sa lahat ng mga hindi nakakaalam kung anong nangyari. Let's update our kababayans.
Basically, ang nangyari dito is that 11 Filipino workers filed a case of labor code violations laban sa kanilang employer na nag-petition sa kanila o nag-transport sa kanila from the Philippines to the United States. There's a promise that they'll be receiving a certain amount of compensation, pero pagdating daw sa Amerika, iba na nangyari.
Iba na ang usapan. Okay.
That's what the complaint alleges. And ang nangyari is they were given a lesser amount of compensation and then pinagtrabaho sila ng mahigit pa sa 8 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week.
Okay. Ang kaso talaga dito dahil nga yung employer ang nag-petition sa kanila para pumunta dito.
Correct.
Siyempre, ang iniisip ng worker is wala silang magagawa, kailangan nilang gawin. Dahil yun na nga, sila yung nag-petition. But this is not the case, right, Attorney Joe?
Every worker, regardless of whether he is a U.S. citizen or somebody who's petitioned from the Philippines into the United States, has rights protected by law. So kahit na meron siyang E2 visa or investor's visa, whatever that is.
It's the extension of the investor's visa daw po.
That's correct.
Yes.
Those workers are still entitled to protection. The right to be paid overtime.
Okay, so there are 5 things that we need to really, when we talk about this case, we need to discuss this, right? So the first one is?
They have the right to be paid overtime.
So miski 10 hours sila nagtrabaho, kailangan bayaran sila ng overtime.
That's correct. That's correct. Because in that example, they work beyond 8 hours a day. Not because they were paid a fixed amount of money. Well, that's another issue because they were promised to be paid a certain amount of money. Pero pagdating dito, binayaran sila na mas mababa. And we're required to work more hours. That's a problem. That's a violation of the labor code.
Okay. All right. What is another issue pertaining to this case that you see?
Another issue is they have a right to minimum wage or the right to be paid for every hour that's worked. So if they are paid a certain amount of money, let's say, in that case, complaint alleges they were only paid $300 or $500 a month, that's surprisingly low, very low. In addition to that fixed amount of money, any work that they do beyond 8 hours should be separately compensated.
Oo, kasi ang sinasabi ng mga workers, pinatrabaho daw po sila ng mga hindi daw nila responsibilidad. So they were supposed to be manning the pastry operations, pinaglilinis daw sila ng bahay, yung mga ganun daw po.
They were supposed to be paid. If they did those work, then they have to be separately paid for those, in addition to whatever hours they work in the bakery.
Okay. And then what else do you see with this case?
They are protected against discrimination. Discrimination and harassment.
Oo, ang masakit dito, Attorney Joe, kapwa nilang Pilipino yung nagdi-discriminate sa kanila.
Very sad story. But it's there. If the plaintiffs are able to prove their case, then it constitutes a violation of both federal and state law.
Yes. Thank you so much, Attorney Joe, for speaking to me about this. It was important that we talk about this. Pagbalik po natin, kasama pa rin natin si Attorney Joe Sayas. We'll be right back on Kababayan Today. At pag-uusapan naman natin ang dalawang klase ng workers o mga trabahador. We'll be right back.